Hey everyone, this is PM Sport Talk, the father and son duo podcast. I'm your host Preston, alongside my father Mike and Dad. How are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. We had another awesome weekend of football. Can't wait to get into it. Let's do this.
Of course, we're gonna start off with our final game of the 2023 to 2024 college football season, and it was all Michigan the whole way through.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing. I'm glad Michigan won. I'm a Michigan fan, but the game itself wasn't a very good game. Michigan took control right away. They got up by 2 touchdowns there in the first half. And even though Washington came back and made it a touchdown game a couple different times, you just never really felt that they were going to be able to get all the way back. Michigan's offensive line, defensive line controlled that game pretty well through, I think.
Yeah, it was Michael Penix's. It wasn't his fault. I think the offensive line was a big part of why Michael Penix didn't have much success in that game.
Yeah.
He was getting practically taken out by his own guys. I mean, he almost hurt his ankle badly because of one of his own linemen. So I don't think the block game was there. Michigan's defense won every rep there. And that's just how the whole game went.
Yeah, their defensive line was stout. I mean, it's been stout all year. They were huge in the Alabama game. They were pushing that Alabama offensive line back into Milroe the whole game. And they're basically doing the same thing to Penix. I got to give Penix credit, though. He did his best. I mean, he had to throw quicker than he wanted to. And that's why a lot of his throws were off last night.
Mm-hmm.
The throws that you saw in that Texas game that were like landing right in the basket of the receivers.
You didn't see that.
Didn't see that at all last night. He was just his timing was off. He had to throw it before he wanted to, and all that credit goes to that defensive line of Michigan. They were just I don't want to say dominant, but pretty close to it. They were just the better team. Although there was a few times there in the third and fourth where Michigan's offense sputtered. You know, they went away from their run game for some reason. I'm not sure why. I guess credit Washington's defense. They kind of forced them to. They were stacking the box, bringing the safeties down, kind of forcing Michigan to have to throw the ball. So there was opportunity there for Washington offense because they were, it was 20-13. They had like 3 or 4 different chances where Michigan went 3 and out, and they just couldn't, but Washington could not do anything with the ball. They just could not get anything going. And, then in the fourth quarter, Michigan took control, towards the end there and got up by 2 or 3 scores, and that was it. Penix got hurt a couple different times in that game. You could see at the end there, he was holding his midsection there while he's trying to throw, and he was, he just got beat up that whole game.
Yeah, for sure. You can tell really how much J.J. McCarthy was loved by Michigan, how much he was loved by Jim Harbaugh there. I mean, he really left his mark on the college football world, Michigan world to be exact, and he is now off to the draft. But do you think this is where Jim Harbaugh leaves his mark and leaves off with the Michigan championship and goes to the NFL? Back to the NFL.
Everybody seems to think that. I'm kind of leaning that way myself. He did what he wanted to do. He came back to Michigan, got them to the playoffs 3 times, and finally won it. There's not much left for him to do now. The one thing he hasn't done is win a Super Bowl. He's been to one. So I'm thinking that's where he's going. Plus, the NCAA is not done with him yet. So there's a chance he could have some more suspensions and stuff. So I think if the opportunity's there, and I think it will be, I think he goes to the NFL. I really do. Because Michigan put out that, they offered him a 10-year contract, $125 million extension, and he has not signed that yet. So that makes me think that he's going pro, back to the pros. He had a lot of success with San Francisco, just couldn't quite win it. He lost to his brother in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where he's headed. It's a shame for Michigan. because I really feel Michigan was a really proud program, top 10 program for a while there. And then they went through like a 10-year period 15-year period before Jim Harbaugh came back to coach them, where they just weren't that good. They were like barely a top 25 team, losing to Ohio State every year, it seemed like.
Mm-hmm.
And he came back and restored that tradition to Michigan. So as a Michigan fan, I'm worried that if he does leave, what's going to happen to Michigan? Are they going to go back? Are they going to fall off again? Or is somebody going to come in there and pick up where he left off? That'd be an interesting question. And as a fan, I'm really curious to see what happens there, because college football is better when Michigan's good. They don't have to win it every year, but when they're relevant and in the top 10 every year,
yeah,
I think it makes, especially for that Big Ten conference, that Ohio State-Michigan rivalry is probably the best one in college football. And, it's going to be sad if he does go, but I think that's where he is headed.
Well, I mean, in the pros, if you look at it, you said he had a lot of success with San Francisco, for sure. And you look who he did that with, Colin Kaepernick. He did that with Colin Kaepernick. Imagine he went to a team like, I don't know, let's say the Chargers, Justin Herbert. I mean, just imagine what he could do with that team.
Yeah, I know. Like you say, he did it with Colin Kaepernick, who was just an average quarterback.
All he could do was run. He was modern-day Lamar, but without an arm.
Well, he had the arm.
He had the arm, but he cannot throw.
He wasn't as accurate. He wasn't accurate.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he had an arm, but like he couldn't.
It was weird. He had the couple really good years, and then he just fell off, and then Harbaugh left because everything just fell apart there, kind of. So if he gets a really good quarterback, Herbert's the guy. I mean, there's talk of him with Chargers, talk of him with almost all of these teams that are just fired their coaches. Raiders was a big one because he has a connection there, but it kind of seems like they might go with Antonio Pierce, and they don't have a quarterback, so I don't know if he wants to go there. There's no quarterback there. Aiden O'Connell is not. He's just not it. He'll be a good backup in the NFL, but he's not going to be your starting quarterback, I don't think.
No.
And so, like you say, Chargers is the likely one, but they're the Spanos family who owns the Chargers. They're a little tight with their money, and I think Jim Harbaugh is going to demand a big contract. So I'm really curious to see how that pans out. I think he can pick his team. I really do.
Yeah, we'll have to see with the coaching situation and more coaching situations happening in the NFL right now. There's 3 coaches who got fired over the past days. 2 were expected, 1 not so much. Arthur Smith is gone from the Falcons. Done.
Yeah, he had
Ron Rivera is gone. I mean, that was a given. We expected that. Mike Vrabel has been fired today.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming.
No.
I thought if there was talk that he might just leave because he, wanted something different, but he got fired, and I didn't see that coming. I mean, they had a bad year this year, but last year they were right there for the division. They lost to Jacksonville the last game of the season last year, or else they would have won the division. So that's a little surprising. And 2 years before that, he was wasn't he in the championship game?
Yeah, against Mahomes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little surprising. He has only one bad year there, and he's gone. It's I just don't get that. He's a good coach, and I think there's more to it. Probably butting of heads between him and the GM or the owner, because it's not from results. He has the results, so there has to be something else going on there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm in class today, and we got 2 Titans fans. Obviously, can't have our phones in class, so at the end of class, we're all going to our phones, and they see that Mike Vrabel's gone, and they look like they're in shambles. I mean, they're like, no way we fired Mike Vrabel. Like, I can tell that's probably how a lot of Titans fans feel.
Yeah, that's shocker. I mean, it's almost like Tomlin getting fired from the Steelers. Not the same. I mean, Tomlin's won Super Bowl, but I think he was on the path to be that kind of coach. And Yeah, really surprising. And then as a fan, you're like, who are they going to get that's better than him? I mean, I don't think Jim Harbaugh is going there. There's no quarterback.
Belichick, probably not.
I mean, Levis showed some signs, but I don't know if he's a for sure deal there. Yeah, so that's it. Tennessee's an interesting job.
I mean, you can't say that about Levitt. I mean, yeah, you can be not sure about him, but like he went through a lot of injuries as we saw.
Yeah, he had a lot. I mean, he had some games where he looked really, really good. I mean,
that first game.
I mean, the game against Pittsburgh, he played really well.
Against the Falcons, he played well too.
Yeah, so
that was his first ever start.
Yeah.
In the NFL, and he balled out.
And you know they're lacking talent there too. So that's more of a rebuilding team, I think. Yeah. So I don't know if a big coach like Belichick wants to go there, or
Belichick's probably going to go to an even worse team, in my opinion.
Where do you think if he leaves?
What do you think about him going to like? What he could go to Washington, in my opinion.
There's talk of that.
They're most likely going to end up with one or the two, Caleb Williams or Marvin Harrison Jr. They're going to draft whoever the Bears don't take. So unless the Bears decide to trade that pick and go with Fields, but we're going to have to see there.
I think they're taking a quarterback, Washington.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying the Bears have the number one pick.
Right, yeah.
So they're probably going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. or Caleb Williams. It depends what they do with Fields.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so Washington's going to have a pick of a very good quarterback.
They're going to take Williams, or do you think they'll take May?
I wouldn't take May.
I'm not sold on him.
He's another North Carolina quarterback. We've seen that.
Trubisky
and Sam Howell. Sam Howell's shown some promise, but he's a turnover machine. So, yeah.
Sam Howell, I mean, this is his rookie year, though. I don't know. We're gonna defend Bryce Young. I mean, no, Sam Howell is technically his second year, but this is technically his rookie year, because he didn't play all of last year, and it was his rookie year last year. So this was he's like Jordan Love, first year starter.
Yeah. No, he's showed some good things.
I say we don't count him out that fast.
I just don't know if a big time coach wants to go there. Yeah, there's a lot. Belichick's still in New England. It says he's going to play out his. He's under contract for another year. So I don't know what's going on there. Everybody said he was going to get fired or they're going to part ways. You know,
no one did. They haven't done that yet.
They haven't done anything yet. He did a press conference yesterday. He said, "Oh, I'm under contract. I'm preparing for next year. I'm looking at film and all this." So that's kind of crazy what's going on there. Who knows, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
sounds like they're trying. Sounds like I don't know if they don't want to fire him. I don't think, but they want to move on, but they don't want to fire him. I think is what's going on there. So
I think they trade. Do you think they trade Mac Jones? Because they're probably going to take May. They're going to be the ones who take May probably. So and then
Mac
they're
Jones
probably
isn't playing.
They're probably going to want Zappy as their backup if Belichick's there. So do you think they trade Mac Jones or get rid of him?
I'm sure they do.
Kind of like Trey Lance.
Could be, yeah. But, I mean, I have no idea what's going on there until you find out who's coaching the team. So, who knows?
Yeah, they could keep him, actually, if Belichick isn't there. So, because he liked Zappy a lot. That's probably why he got most of the time.
Yeah. I can see that. But, some strange things going on there. It's a little up in the air in New England, so who knows? They do things differently there anyway, so.
I'd like to talk about, we're going to go to the playoffs now. I mean, it's time. It's time to lock in and get on these playoffs.
Absolutely. Let's get into it because, it's just a couple days away.
Yeah. I mean, I would just like to break down first, before we get into the actual matchup itself, how some of these Week 18 stuff got these teams to the playoffs. Obviously, we saw the Jaguars fall to the Titans, and that brought in two teams, booted the Jags out. We got the Bills and Steelers in, who are facing each other.
Yeah, that was great. We watched that game. I was sweating there watching that game because it looked, Tennessee was ahead the whole game, but it looked like Jacksonville might come back and tie it, and then I'm like, oh, here we go.
They were 1 inch away from tying the game.
Tying that game, and then he went for it on fourth down, and that was it. I mean,
man, those Titans players, they felt like they had something to play for. Obviously, I mean, you go all the way back to last year when they had Josh Dobbs as their quarterback, and they almost made the playoffs. But look who was there to boot them out, the Jaguars. And Murphy Bunting said this in the interview too. He's like, "You want my honest opinion on what we went into this game with? I wanted to get the Jacksonville Jaguars out of there because they eliminated us last year."
Yeah, you could see it. They played with fire that whole game. They were, a team that had nothing to play for, but they wanted to knock the Jacksonville Jaguars out of the playoffs, and that's exactly what they did. Thank God for us Steelers fans, because the Bills, I wasn't planning on Buffalo losing to let us get in. So my hopes were only with Jacksonville losing, and sure enough, thank you to the Tennessee Titans.
I'd just like to say I'm a Titan fan next year. I am going to be watching the Titans unless they play the Steelers. I'm rooting for the Titans every single game.
Absolutely. There was some diner or restaurant in Pittsburgh sending the Titans a whole bunch of food and stuff because they knocked Jacksonville out. So, yeah, great story. That's what I mean about Vrabel. He got that team up to play and to knock Jacksonville out, a team that only won 5 games. They had nothing to play for. They just wanted to go. They could have just mailed it in, didn't want to get hurt before they went to the offseason. But no, they went out there and played their best game of the year probably.
Oh, yeah.
And knocked out Jacksonville.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I can tell that Mike Vrabel, I could tell before the week that Mike Vrabel is going to want to get these guys to play. I showed you the interview with Mike Vrabel. He's like, "Oh, man, how do you think losing feels?" To this one reporter who asked something. He was like, "It sucks. It sucks." And I was like, "Oh, boy, this is exactly the Mike Vrabel we need." And sure enough, he got those players up, and I can only imagine what he was telling them throughout the week.
Yeah, they're fired up. They want to knock their division rival out. They wanted to say, "Hey, you knocked us out last year. We're doing the same to you.
If we can't go in,
you
can't go in."
Exactly. Exactly what they did. And that's the old also the terrible towel curse came back to bite the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, you remember from week 8, Mr. Andrew Wingard stealing memorabilia on live television, waving around the towel, and even going on social media, talking about the towel and saying it's ridiculous how people are getting mad about it. Mr. Wingard, you cost your team the playoffs, and it's on you, buddy. And I'm just going to say that.
Absolutely. The curse came through. You can't disrespect the terrible towel. Jacksonville, they learned their lesson the hard way, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. That's the curse right there. It is yet to hit the Browns, though. We saw what that one player did with the towel, so we're waiting. We're waiting.
Yeah, we'll see. And the Ravens, too.
Mm-hmm.
But, in order for all that to happen, the Steelers had to win Saturday night, and, they came through a nail-biter there for a little while. But, of course, T.J. Watt got hurt, so that has a big impact on their playoff game coming up this weekend. But you know what? I'm just glad they're in. I think they're going to put up a better showing than a lot of people think. A lot of the, so-called experts are saying Pittsburgh has no shot to even be close in this game next weekend. But I like that. I like being the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
I like people doubting us, and we'll see what happens.
All right. So I kind of do a little bit of what they call that in Family Feud, fast money. And so, let's go through these playoff games and give our prediction for each one. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Well, we're going to start right where you were, the Steelers and Bills. Let's review it and then say what we think.
Yeah, like I just said, T.J. Watt's out for Pittsburgh. Huge blow. But unlike the past, they do have some very, very good backups. Nick Herbig, the rookie from Wisconsin, is playing very well. And they picked up Al Golden, who's been a very good player throughout his career. And they both played very well against the Ravens. And then, of course, you got Highsmith on the other side.
Right.
Minka Fitzpatrick, I think, is coming back. KZ is back. And plus, they've got Peterson playing safety, too.
Eric Rowe.
Eric Rowe has been playing very good. So they got some really good depth there now. I like the defense. It's kind of come together with these players, some of these practice squad players. They're starting to gel.
Before you keep going, what's the status on Trenton Thompson here?
I haven't heard anything about him. I'm not sure. But to be honest with you, I don't know if they need him. I mean,
yeah,
the other guys are playing really well. I mean, it'd be great if he can play, but I don't know. I'm not sure. But Fitzpatrick is the key.
Right.
Because
He holds that secondary together.
even if he's not 100%, if he's just 85, 90%, he makes all the calls, gets them into position. Against a team like Buffalo, I think that's going to be very important with Diggs and all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the offense with Mason Rudolph, another thing I'm hearing, oh, geez, we got to watch Mason Rudolph in the playoffs. Well, have you watched Mason Rudolph play the last 3 games? He's leading the league in QBR and pass per attempts the last 3 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
He's throwing the ball down the field.
Right.
I'm not saying
Which is something Pickett didn't do.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to go into Buffalo and be Ben Roethlisberger. I'm not saying that, but I think there's a lot of people out there that have not watched Steelers the last few weeks and think it's the same Steelers from like 6 weeks ago. It's not.
You're wrong.
They're a different team.
And of course, you got to mention the run game. It's back. It is back with Najee Harris. He is finally proving that I'm not a bad running back. He's running through the hole. He's pushing those legs, getting those extra yards. And they need the key to this game for me is with the run game. You got to put Najee through the hole, and you want to do those outside runs? Fine, put Warren in the game.
Jalen Warren, he's great. Change of pace back.
Right.
He averages like 8-9 yards a carry. Like I say, Harris does all the heavy lifting up the middle. Mm-hmm. He wears down the defense. And that duo has quietly become one of the best duos in the league.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Playing great. The offensive line is playing good run block. There's still a little suspect pass blocking, but their run blocking has been excellent lately. Even Dan Moore Jr. That Buffalo defense is good, but it's not great. I think we can run the ball against them. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people think. Obviously, the X factor is Josh Allen. He's the best player on the field.
Yeah.
He's the best, if he's on his game, his A game, then the Bills are going to beat the Steelers. But if he's off just a little bit,
he's going to give him a chance.
Then that game's going to be close. And, in close games, anything can happen.
Right. And if you look at that Bills defense, as you mentioned, it's great. But the Steelers, of course, have that great wide receiver duo with Pickens and Deontay. So I think a guy that needs to step up on that Bills defense, for sure, Rasul Douglas. He has been amazing since the Bills traded for him. I haven't heard the last fix since we lived near Buffalo, of course. But they aren't wrong. Rasul Douglas, the stats don't lie. He has been huge upgrade for that Bills secondary.
I got a question for you. He got hurt in that Miami game.
What I think they did, I know what you're going to say, right? Do you think he's going to play?
I haven't heard a word, so I don't know.
Well,
I don't know how bad his injury was.
I think they didn't put him back in the game. I've heard this because they didn't feel like the risk was there. Risk reward,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's
gonna play. I think.
He's probably gonna play,
I think they didn't. If I'm gonna take a guess, I think they didn't put him back in the game because the risk reward wasn't there. Didn't want to give him serious injury. So
yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm sure he's probably gonna play because if we haven't heard anything, if he wasn't gonna play, we would have heard that. I would think by now.
What about Gabe Davis?
That's another one. That's a key lot. He's the last 2 times the Bills have played Pittsburgh, it's been him that's killed Pittsburgh. Especially last year.
He made Fitzpatrick look like a fool.
One thing that we have this year that we didn't have last year is a lockdown cornerback. The rookie Joey
Porter Jr.
I'm assuming he's going to be on Diggs the whole game.
Yep.
But there's times where maybe he'll be on Davis too. I don't know if Davis is playing, but most of the time he's going to be on Diggs. Diggs is obviously very good. So is Porter. We didn't have that the last time we played them. I'm telling you right now, do I expect Pittsburgh to win? No. But would I be shocked if this game was close in the fourth quarter? Not at all. I think the Buffalo Bills fans be careful with this one. I hear a lot of them thinking, "Oh, this is easy. We're gonna be sitting there waiting for Mahomes to come into our building." Wait on a minute there. You're gonna get a very gritty Steeler team. Not as talented as the Bills, but very gritty. This one's going to be closer than you think.
I overheard a conversation today where, this Bills and Steelers fan were chatting, and, you got a question here. You're like, you going to the game today, this weekend? No, I'm waiting for next week. And then the Steelers fan goes, "Oh, you're gonna see Mason Rudolph go play Lamar next week." Wonderful.
That's funny. I mean,
So I mean, Bills fans, that just shows you they're counting them out, and I don't think you can count the Steelers team out.
I mean, I'm sure the Bills players are not counting them out. They're not stupid. They know that any NFL team can beat you at any time.
Right.
So, but the fans themselves, a lot of them are, and it's kind of funny. I mean, I guess they're confident in their team. That's great, and they are the better team. I mean, they should be the team that wins. They're at home. It's going to be cold, but I just know this Steeler team, has won 10 games this year, and they just find ways to stay in these games. Even when you think they shouldn't be in the game, they're there.
Yeah.
And they're getting something now that they didn't get all year. So who knows? You just never know. That's one of the great things about the NFL. You think this team should win by 10 points, and then it just doesn't happen. And it's just going to be great. I'm going to be nervous as heck, but hey, we weren't even supposed to make the playoffs a couple weeks ago, and now we're in. So I think we got house money, and that's another thing. As a Buffalo fan, where I'd be a little bit worried, even though you have the better team, the Steelers are playing free and loose. They're not expected to do anything. They're not expected to go to the Super Bowl. A lot of people expect Buffalo to maybe take that next step, that they're Super Bowl worthy. And so that puts a lot of pressure on Buffalo. Mm-hmm. And so there's no pressure on Pittsburgh. There's none.
Good. We're going to move on now to the Browns and the Texans. And this is a tough one to call. Tougher than people are making it.
Oh, I don't know where to go on this one. I'm a little worried about Cleveland because Flacco was hot, and now he takes a game off. Obviously, you don't want him to get hurt. So is he able to get right back to where he was? You know, sometimes when you're a hot quarterback like that, and then you have a week off or something, sometimes it's hard to get that magic back.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be a little worried about that. I'm not worried about their defense at all.
Yeah.
I think C.J. Stroud's going to have a tough time. He's good. He's really good. But I think they beat him already once, Cleveland. So
yeah, but that was without Stroud.
Was it without Stroud?
It was.
Oh.
Keenum was playing.
Oh, that's right. So, yeah. It's a tough game to call. I mean, Cleveland's defense is by far the best unit on the field, I think. But these playoff games are crazy.
Yeah, they are. I mean, actually, before we move on with this, we didn't get our predictions for the Steelers and Bills, so we got to do who's going to win. And
I'm going to go with my heart, and I'm going to pick Steelers. Low scoring. I'm going to say 20-17.
Well, you know how it goes when the predictions clear the board. So to avoid the jinx, I'm going with the Bills. I'm going to say they win in a close one, though. Anyways, back to the Browns and Texans. C.J. Stroud, we saw it last week. Hot. He was playing very well. The Nico Collins and C.J. Stroud connection was there. But one thing I want to focus on here. The Browns have 3 great corners. They have Denzel Ward, of course, Greg Newsome, and a young guy on the rise, Martin Emerson Jr. So, you have Nico Collins, right? But he's most likely going to get locked down.
Yeah, he's going to get knocked.
But who do you have behind that to go against the guys like Newsome and Emerson? Because they couldn't get anything going against the Colts.
That's what I mean.
So, their next receiver up since Tank Dell's out for the season is Robert Woods, and he's washed. He's old. So I think here is it comes down to the Browns defense. If Nico Collins is taking on the situation, their passing game is gone.
Yeah, I could really. Now that you bring that up, that's a really good point from you about the corners for Cleveland. They have excellent corners. Like I said, Emerson, he's great. He's going to be a star.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to lean. I'm going to give you my prediction right now. With that point you just brought up is making me go. That's making me go Cleveland 24-10, 24-13.
Yeah, I'm going to Cleveland all day long. Yeah. I'm going to give Martin Emerson more credit. The Cleveland Browns have found a gem in Martin Emerson Jr. I mean, Earlier when they played the Texans, of course they had Keenum throwing the ball, but still Emerson did not allow Collins to go anywhere. Neither did Newsome.
Yeah.
So I think Martin Emerson is a gem that the Cleveland Browns found, and he is going to be great for years to come. He's only 20. So he's 22.
Yeah, he's going to be good. Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I'm going Cleveland. Yeah, definitely.
I'm going Cleveland as well. So next up here on our playoff wild card, Tyreek Hill's return to Kansas City, again the Dolphins-Chiefs game.
Yeah. I think the fact that game is in Kansas City, it's going to be extremely cold.
Mm-hmm. Miami's not used to that.
I think Kansas City wins this game. I think it's close for a while because Kansas City's offense isn't great either this year. I'm going to go Mahomes, and Kansas City pulls it out. Probably another not super high scoring game. I'm going to say 24-20, something like that.
I'm saying they're not even getting to 20. I'm going to say like 13-6.
Really?
They are electric offenses. Don't get me wrong, but they're playing in super cold weather. If you saw the projected weather, it's like 0 degrees with 15 degrees wind.
And it's at night. Yeah. Yeah, you could be right on that one. It's probably going to be low scoring, but Kansas City will pull that one out.
Yeah, I think I got Kansas City as well. Now our next game here, McCarthy, another revenge game in a way. McCarthy, first game against Green Bay. Mike McCarthy, by the way.
I like Dallas. I think it's a little bit close at the beginning. I think Dallas pulls away. They just run roughshod over teams in that building.
Right.
I think Dallas scores 30 against that defense, and Jordan Love might put up 17, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's Dallas all day.
I'm gonna say it's closer than you think, but I'm gonna say Dallas, right? Because Jordan Love, he's proven that he can beat good teams. He beat Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
And he's been able to just dominate good defenses. I mean, the Bears have a great defense.
Yeah.
Ever since they picked up Montez Sweat, I mean, it's been amazing. So, but Love was able to sneak that out. So I think that the Cowboys still win, of course, but it's gonna be close.
I think he struggles down there. Love first
you think
playoff
he struggles?
Game. I think he struggles.
I don't know. I don't see that. I think he's gonna struggle like maybe first quarter, but I think he's gonna start to settle in. I think he's gonna settle in, and I think he's gonna make it more interesting than you think.
I hope so. I hope it's a good game.
We're gonna go second to last game here: Eagles and Buccaneers.
This is probably the worst game of the week
by far.
It's on Monday night.
I'm taking Bucs. I'm just gonna say I'm taking Bucs.
That's where I was gonna go, but I think Philadelphia will pull it out. But
Hurts. What's the deal with his finger though? Hurts. He was able to pop it back in, but is it serious than we think?
From what I've heard today, that sounds like he's good, okay. But I think Philadelphia squeaks it out in the end in that game.
I'm gonna take Bucs.
I don't blame you.
Baker Mayfield is built for these games.
I wouldn't be shocked. Good defense.
People are saying that Baker Mayfield, I can't take the Baker Mayfield offense. You said that when they played 11-0 Steelers in the playoffs. He booted them out like it was nothing.
Yeah, true.
Baker Mayfield is built for these games. You saw it in college as well. I mean, it's a little different.
I hope the Bucs win. I want some different teams in there.
I think the Buccaneers are going to win. I really do. I think Baker Mayfield's built for these games, as I just said. And, like you said, that great defense. It's just been – and Antoine Winfield, they have a star right there. So, yeah, and he's used to these big games, too. He played in the Super Bowl. A lot of these defensive guys played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, a lot of those guys on that team played in the Super Bowl. There's, so, yeah, I can see Tampa Bay winning, absolutely.
I'm going to take Tampa Bay. So, we, of course, leave the best game storyline-wise for last. The Rams and the Lions.
Oh, this is awesome. Matthew Stafford.
Versus Jared Goff.
Back in Detroit.
Matthew Stafford back in Detroit. Scriptwriters went crazy.
Yeah, there's a reason why this is the Sunday night game.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Everybody's jumping on the LA Ram train. A lot of the people are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going the other way. I think Detroit wins a close game. I think Jared Goff takes this personal. I think he has one of his best games of his career.
Okay.
And I think Detroit beats them, 31-28 in a close game. But
yeah,
I like Detroit.
I'm gonna go with Detroit as well. I was saying that Rams are a
they're a trendy
pick, yeah. But what I'm gonna say here is, I feel like the Lions take that a little personal, because the focus is all on Matthew Stafford. The focus is all on him returning to Detroit.
Yeah, there's
no focus on Goff playing his former team.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's going to come into play. Like you just said, and Goff is going to be able to handle that pressure and, that electric offense, but don't count out their defense. They've got elite pass rush going with Aiden Hutchinson leading the way off the edge, and they got Gardner Johnson back? He got hurt in week 1, but I heard he might be coming back soon, so we'll see. I like Dan Campbell. I like him as a coach. Oh,
he's just a fiery guy.
The Lions made the right decision picking him.
I just like him. I think they're gonna. It's gonna be a great game, but I think they got him in this one.
Well, some great playoff games coming up this weekend. It's time to roll into plays of the week. First play of plays of the week, Dad. Rudolph throws over the middle. It's caught by Deontay Johnson. No one's going to catch him. Touchdown, Steelers. Welcome to the playoffs.
Another big play from Mason Rudolph to his speedy receiver, Deontay Johnson. Breaks that game open and carries the Steelers on to the victory.
We were watching this game, and you mentioned the safety back there, Williams, got burnt.
Yeah. A lot of starters in on that Ravens defense, and he got toasted by Deontay Johnson.
Right there.
He went for the tight end, and Johnson got the ball, and he's gone.
Along with Ronald Darby, who's been great this year.
They bit on the tight. They thought the ball was going to Fryermuth, and he threw it to Johnson, and away he went.
Great play. All right, Dad. 3.6 seconds left in the Warriors-Nuggets game. Gordon the pass in, gets it into Jokic. Jokic guarded by Looney from half court for the win. It's good! Nikola Jokic wins it at the buzzer.
What a shot. He was so nonchalant with that. It's like he was just taking a regular shot. He's just so good.
He wanted to go home.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, what a play from the star center. Coming from Dolphins and Bills. Here comes the punt. Back to Deontay Hardy. Backed up all the way to the 5. He's going to try to return this. Using that speed. Following his blocks. Deontay Hardy has one man to beat. He is for sure going to beat him. Touchdown, Bills.
What a play. Changed the whole game. Looked like the Dolphins were going to coast to victory in this game. That changed it all for the Bills.
Deontay Hardy said, not so fast.
He caught that ball in the 5. Usually you just let it go, but he wanted to make a play.
He sure did. What a play, got him back into the game. Bills and Dolphins once again, Dad, coming from near the beginning of the game. Allen faked the cook. Off the helmet. Sherfield makes the catch. Oh my goodness. Touchdown, Bills.
What a play. You're going to call me crazy, but I didn't see this play. Somehow I missed this. How did I miss this?
Trent Sherfield for the first score of the Bills. McDermott showing no reaction at all. Look at McDaniel's face.
He's like, what? Are you kidding me?
Look at this beautiful toe drag swag by Sherfield.
That's when you know it's your night.
Dad, Falcons and Saints action for our final play. Ritter looking, throwing. Bijan Robinson makes the catch. Down the sideline he goes. Bijan Robinson, one man to beat. That's Matthew. He's got him. Touchdown, Falcons.
See the speed on that play makes you wonder why they aren't using him more.
Arthur Smith.
That's why he's gone.
Well, everyone, that is the end of today's podcast. But, Dad, we pretty much already did our predictions. Is there anything else?
I think we got it, don't we?
We did.
We made our big prediction. The Steelers and the Bills, that's the big one for me. So I think we'll go out with that. Once again, Steelers over the Bills this weekend.
Bills over Steelers. Just saying it so we don't get jinxed. Avoiding it. Well, everyone, that is the end of today's podcast. If you enjoyed, please make sure to give us a subscribe. We're on the way. What are your predictions, everyone? And please please share with us in the comment section below and tell us, what do you think is going to happen on Wild Card Weekend? We can't wait to watch it, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Hey, if you like what you see, you can subscribe down below, and you can listen to our podcast at any time. And also, if you want to reach out to us, you can reach us at pmsporttalk@gmail.com. Also coming soon is a website. Thank you all for listening. Have a good one.